At first, it was just one weekend. My sister called on a Thursday night, voice rushed, already halfway through her sentence. Something about being overwhelmed, something about needing just a little help. I said yes without thinking. I always did. I told myself it was temporary. Family helps family. That's what we were taught. By Sunday evening, her 4 kids were asleep on my couch, crumbs in the cushions, shoes scattered by the door. She picked them up late, hugged them quickly, and promised she'd make it up to me. She never did. The next weekend came. Then the next. Then it stopped feeling like a favor and started feeling like a schedule no one had bothered to ask me about. Evenings became predictable. Her car would pull up. The kids would rush inside. She would already be halfway back to the driver's seat, talking about traffic, work, stress, life. Always reasons. Just till things settle, she'd say. Things never settled. I learned to keep extra cereal, learned which child hated tomatoes and which one cried at night. I learned how to rearrange my plans without complaining. Birthdays, friends, rest, all negotiable. What I didn't learn was how to say no, because every time I almost did, I heard her voice in my head. You don't know how hard it is. You don't have kids. You have it easy. So I stayed quiet. 2 years passed like that. I stopped counting the weekends. Then I got the email and interview. Out of state, a real opportunity, better pay, stability, chance to start over somewhere that didn't know me as the aunt who's always available. Read it 3 times to make sure it was real. I didn't tell her, not at first. Some part of me already knew what would happen. Interview was on a Friday morning. I needed that weekend to prepare, to travel, to breathe. I finally called her on Wednesday. I have something important, I said. She was distracted. I could hear one of the kids yelling in the background. It quick, she said. I have a job interview. Out of state. I won't be able to watch the kids this weekend. There was a pause. Then a laugh. You're joking.
I'm serious.
Her voice hardened. Why would you schedule that on a Friday? I didn't schedule it. So, tell them, no, I can't. Why not? Because I need this? Another pause. Colder this time. Why should we babysit your kids? She snapped. You chose to be a single mom. I didn't answer. My chest felt hollow. She continued. Faster now, sharper. I'm drowning over here and you're worried about some job? Must be nice to think about yourself for once. Stared at the wall while she talked. 2 years. 2 years of rearranging my life. Of pretending I didn't mind. Of never charging, never complaining, never asking. And this was how she saw it. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just said, I have to go, and ended the call. That night, I blocked her number. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't announce it. I just needed silence. The first day felt wrong, like I'd done something illegal. The second day felt lighter. By Thursday, packed a small bag for the interview. Friday morning, I flew out. The interview went well, better than I expected. The manager spoke to me like I mattered, like my time had value. When they offered me the position, nodded calmly and cried in the bathroom afterward. I accepted it the same day. On Friday evening, I was back home, exhausted and hopeful for the first time in years. At 6:42 p.m., my doorbell camera sent an alert. I opened the app. My sister stood outside with 4 suitcases and 4 tired children. She was yelling at the door. Open up! I know you're home! She kept pressing the button. Vegas trip! You're watching them! Don't start this drama! I sat on my bed and watched. She was acting like nothing had changed, like I was still on standby, like I was furniture. One of the kids sat on a suitcase. Another leaned against the wall. They looked confused. My phone buzzed with unknown numbers. Relatives, old contacts, anyone she could borrow a phone from. I didn't answer. I had changed the locks 2 weeks earlier quietly, after realizing how many spare keys were floating around. She tried her old key. It didn't work. Her voice rose.
Stop being childish!
Open the door. I opened the camera microphone. No, I said. Just that. No explanation. No argument. Silence followed. Then anger. You serious right now?
Wes!
You're abandoning your family. I'm choosing myself, she scoffed. Everything I've been through. You've been through a lot, I said. So have I. She started crying then. Loudly, publicly, the kind meant to attract attention. And it worked. Neighbors opened doors. Someone called building security. 10 minutes later, the building manager and a security officer stood beside her. Mom. One of them said, You can't block the entrance like this. She lives here, my sister snapped. She has to take her kids. They're not her children. The manager replied calmly, She's asked you to leave. They looked up at my camera. I nodded from inside. That was it. No debate. No family meeting. No emotional speeches. Authority had arrived, and it was clear. She gathered the suitcases slowly, face burning with embarrassment. The kids followed quietly. Before leaving, she looked at the camera one last time. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, but not that night. The next morning, a moving truck parked outside my building. I watched from the window as boxes were loaded. My life condensed. I was relocating in 3 weeks. Word spread quickly. Some relatives said I was cruel. Some said I was brave. Most said nothing. My sister sent messages through cousins, through our mother, through anyone who would listen. I read some, didn't reply. In my new apartment months later, I sometimes think about her, about the kids, about the way things used to be. I miss them. I don't miss disappearing. I don't miss apologizing for having plans. I don't miss earning love through exhaustion. Sometimes boundaries look like loss. Sometimes they look like space. For me, they looked like a quiet room, a steady job, a door I finally learned how to close without slamming it, not because I stopped caring, because I started.